He's the Duke head coach and a man who's proud to say that I'm his friend. He's Mike Krzyzewski, who joins us now. Coach, how are you?
Good, and you did a nice job last night, especially at the presentation for LeBron's Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year, but especially at the end. I thought that conversation was excellent. Who wrote the questions for you?
It just comes naturally, you know.
That was a natural moment for you, then.
Yeah.
That was. See, I didn't know that you had that in you.
It's sort of like watching Jordan play is like watching me interview.
It just comes, right?
Yeah, I mean, it just does.
How does it feel like later in the show? By the way, tell Kobe congratulations. I texted him last night, but I'm sure he's got 1,000, messages. But how does it feel to interview or have someone on the show that scored 30,000 more points than you have?
Well, pro points. That's 30,000.
That's true. Yeah. Studio points, you probably have at least that many, right?
But if we went out and had a game of horse, you and me.
Yes. And how would you handle losing? Would you be okay?
I'm very competitive.
I'm just saying, look, I already know the result. So I'm just, before even playing, I would want to know that it wouldn't ruin a friendship.
It would not.
That it would, you wouldn't have to leave your show because of, counseling and.
Nope.
Yeah.
Would you be okay if I go to Cameron and beat you in a game of horse? On your home court.
Okay,
I'm not joking around right now.
Yeah. Privately. I'm not one for cameras, just me and you.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, anytime.
Okay. Are you allowed to put anything on the line? Is it an NCAA violation?
Probably.
Okay. Well, you may have broken a violation last night when you called out the NCAA.
Yeah. Well, I thought I might have done something wrong when I offered a scholarship to those two incredible youngsters.
Yep.
That was an amazing. Anyway, that was a good thing last night.
Well, you said some things about LeBron, and I got the feeling that it was that you're seeing somebody you've never seen before, that he's in his own category. I'm paraphrasing, but is that how you feel?
Yeah, I think he's one of a kind, and that people, we like to put lists together and positions and categories and all that. And then, one of the things that he has fought his whole career is he doesn't fit any of those. And so as a result, you end up not looking at all the things that he actually does do. And I've had, just in the summers, but I've had an opportunity to develop a relationship and coach him and work with him. And he's helped me. But I've seen how intelligent he is. I mean, he is unbelievable. And I see what a leader he is, and he has an amazing voice on the court. He has it off the court, but on the court, while action is going on, in basketball, when you have a voice and you're a leader and you have that ability, the abilities he has, it's really rare. It's just it just doesn't happen. And
is he the best player you've ever coached?
He's the most unique. I hate to say best because Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant is as good as anybody who's played too. And now he's 34. He's still one of the best. But he's 34 now. But for most of his career, he's as good as anybody. And I was only an assistant on a dream team, so I didn't coach Jordan. I was in a group that he was, that he played on, and it's tough to argue, like that. That's why you can't say just who is the best because he's rare too, So is Kobe. These guys, what are you going to say? Kobe's a shooting guard, that he's not that. He's this amazing player.
But they had that competitive spirit. I don't know if LeBron has that, but with Kobe and Michael...
You know what? It's different, though, Dan. Like, Kobe and Michael are these incredible scorers. I would say they're assassins. They're just... you know, so damn competitive and so good. And LeBron is not an assassin. He's this guy who can get five guys to play at a higher level. Like while he's doing his thing, he orchestrates others, and it doesn't make him better or the others better. It makes them really like three of the. I mean, you might put all three of those guys in three of the top five players ever.
He's the Duke head coach. He's Mike Krzyzewski joining us for the Dan Patrick Show. Do you want to give your NCAA line? Because now people are saying, well, what did the coach say about the NCAA?
No, because I'm mad about transfers. And, like some kids can transfer and they're eligible right away. And then most kids, there are over 500 transfers this year. And most kids have to sit out a year, but when they're sitting out, I mean, they practice with the team, they're part of the team, but then when you go on a trip, they can't go with you, even though they're a scholarship player. Like, if there was a players' union, that would go out the window right away. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Should there be a players' union?
Well, in the early 90s, in the 90s, there was talk of that. They had players get together, but it would never happen. Guys don't stay in it long.
Yeah,
the good ones are gone right away.
Do you realize if you had LeBron, if he had gone to Duke, you had Duhan, Redick, and Luol Deng?
He'd be pretty good.
Well, now
even I couldn't screw that up, I don't think.
One other thing I wanted to talk to you about is that we're seeing this game of checkers with schools leapfrogging. And it's become embarrassing. I mean, it's a money grab for a lot of these presidents here who keep telling us it's about the student athlete. The student athlete has no input in any of this. This is about we don't want to be left in the game of musical chairs without a chair to sit in. Why? I mean, there's nobody policing any of this.
No, and that's the sad thing about it. What I think we're doing is we're really undercutting the very basic part of our foundation of intercollegiate sport, which is tradition. Tradition is what separates us from professional sports and amateurism. And amateurism has changed so much over the years. Tradition has not changed. Tradition is like that building block that you don't want to mess with. And I think with all this realignment, executives are making decisions based on like being a business executive instead of being the head of a university and an academic institution. And to keep those traditions alive. It's not just the players, Dan. Just think of all the alums that I'm sad that Maryland is not in the ACC. But I think there are a lot of guys, guys and girls who feel the same who played at Maryland because the tradition was to. If you're a Maryland lacrosse player, to play against North Carolina and Duke, and if you're a basketball player, the Duke-Maryland games became some of the greatest games in the last 2 decades. Stuff like that, and they go out the window right away.
Well, they got to get these fees if you want to leave the ACC. They got to hold these schools to that fee because it can't be just. You know what? That's a price tag we can afford. We can leave and go to the Big Ten, or we can jump, from the Big East to the ACC. It's crazy. I mean, the Big East, Coach. Have you looked at the schools in the Big East?
Yeah. Well, I can't keep
track of it.
You just wonder, Dan, where this is still going to go on. Because
in the ACC,
I think everywhere. Because nobody could tell, or not, I shouldn't say nobody. Most people could not tell you which schools are in the Big East next season.
I can't.
No, and and that's unfair for all those schools. In other words, you lose. And Mike Oresco is a good friend, and he's terrific. Who just took over as Big East commissioner, but that's a very difficult job right now, trying to figure out what you're doing, and it's all. Been a football push, and as a result of that, it goes in the direction of 120 schools. Those are the 120 schools that play top Division I football. 70 of those schools go to bowl games, and they run. They're the reason that all this is happening. There's no other reasoning behind it. Well, the TV markets, but it's based on those what they call BCS. Most of them are, not all 120 are BCS, but there are 120 Division I, and the BCS conferences control most of the votes, and they have the biggest voice in where football goes. It's not like that with basketball. There are 350 or so schools, and only 20% of them go to the tournament. And then the larger schools do not have the voting power or the oomph to do anything. So it's all football. It's all football.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what? We'll talk college basketball and your team next time you're on.
Yeah, and by the way, you did. That was good. I enjoyed last night, and that was a great honor for LeBron.
It was great seeing you again, and you had some great words, some kind words, powerful words for LeBron.
Yeah. Well, say hi to Kobe, and I hope he treats you nice. And will you be do you build up momentum so you're better later in the show?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It's like you in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I'm quite you scheduled me early. I can understand. It's a cupcake for you.
Yeah, get that out of the way. You're like Hawaii Hilo.
I'm that good now.
Yeah, that's you.
Well, that's good. I've elevated my status on the show.
Safe travels.
All right, take care.
Thank you, Coach. That's Mike Krzyzewski.